The counter of suppressing your feelings and your emotions inside of a marriage really starts eating at you. And that reflection of eating, if you will, is the frustration and the irritability that then comes out into the marriage of how you treat them or how you, which is the avoidance, the protesting, the not communicating because of this level of frustration that you have. How do you get to a point that you begin to face frustration? Because remember, despite your decision, whether you go left or right, facing frustration has to be a part of that healing process, because you don't want to make a decision, stay in something or leave something and remain the same emotionally and mentally. You got to break free. So what's the starting point of looking frustration in the eye, if you will, to be able to start overcoming? Yeah, so sharing your emotions at the time of being triggered or needing to assert yourself is going to be important. So learning the importance of assertion versus being passive or passive aggressive is what's going to help you to find resolution versus more frustration and fault. Not only identifying your values, but asking yourself what you're willing to do and what you're willing not to do. And you can do this by really taking an assessment of all the things that you've been doing that hasn't made you happy, no matter how long you have to go or how far you have to go backwards to think about it. And that's could be your starting point to say, when this happens or when I do this or when I don't do this, it causes me to be unhappy. What's the strategy towards that? Should I speak up sooner, right? Should I be assertive? And so that's how to make it relatable in real time. Boundaries. So setting boundaries, remember the boundaries are for you first. And in my layman's definition of boundaries, there are rules that you set for your life that connects with your values, because your value is your anchor. It's your foundation. It's really what you use as your compass to make decisions and how you think and what's important to you. And so if you are making decisions that's out of the scope of your values, then that's when unhappiness draws close and near. But when you do things in relationship to your value that aligns, you find yourself being more happier. So understanding what your values are, assessing, going back as far as you can think about, even in our conversation, identifying some of the things that you have allowed to go on, that you weren't appreciative of, that you didn't like, but you never said anything about it. You can take those and you can say, did this align with my values? Once you make a list of your values, and we've done that before, but that was quite some time ago. And does this align with that? Okay, if it does not, then what is the strategy to start relinquishing myself from it, untying myself from it? And if it does match your values, then you just continue to let that be a part of your life. But your boundaries come in to say, okay, this is the rule. If this doesn't match with my value, here's my rule. I will not. Right? And you have to quantify that sometimes, especially when you're starting off creating your boundaries, because you don't want to make it challenging for you to be decisive in the moment. So here is how I break that down. You create standards out of your rules. So these are rules that you can say, you can answer a question yes or no, and that gives you direction. Okay, so trying to think of a scenario in your particular situation. Will I isolate my voice when my husband does not meet my needs? Yes or no? And so if that happens, such as not coming to get you, not taking care of you, not helping you to understand what's happening with the car so you can feel safe, then when you're having a conversation, it can then alter your communication, which means you assert yourself. So that means, will you come and get me? Are you coming to get me? Are you sending somebody for me? Because you've already done the standard assessment to find your yes and no. Now that's leading you to be more clear. And in your clarity, you communicate assertively what you want instead of talking around the world, right? Just using words to use it and then getting upset in the midst of it. Is my husband, so one of your values might be, I want my relationship to feel safe. That's just an example. And so when you're talking to your husband, is my husband making me feel emotionally safe, physically safe, really, all these financial, spiritual, the list goes on and on. Do I feel safe right now? So that gives you a quick yes or no. Now that answer gives you direction on how to strategize past that. So maybe you will say, I don't feel safe right now because he's asking me a whole lot of questions about the car versus my well-being. So then that will say, okay, you need to assert yourself. So, husband, I feel unsafe. What are you going to do about it? So, with that being stated, when you need to assert yourself with your husband, when you have time, such as if you weren't there that evening to be able to address it because he was asleep by the time you got home from a work event, then the next day will be a perfect day. You've cooled down a bit. You understand how you're feeling, what's going on. If you don't, it's time to assess or journal and process with yourself first. Then you come back and you say, hey, you mind if I share a thought with you? Remember the way that we start conversations, to not allow them to think that something is wrong, is important. And then you'll address it. Hey, I just want to share with you that I felt unsafe as your wife as a result of you putting a lot of emphasis on the car versus me. When you assert yourself, it's not about you seeking affirmations of him saying, oh, I'm sorry, or yeah, you're right. That may not come. So you have to put that on the side, put a lid on the invisible box, and just get things off your chest in a healthy way. Okay, eye contact, shoulders square. You're not looking mean. Your voice is not fluctuated or at high pitch or any type of tone that is derogatory. You're simply saying, I feel blank when blank does or says blank. So I feel unhappy when my husband doesn't address my well-being. And then whatever he says towards that, hopefully it allows you to explain that more. So being assertive allows you the increased ratio to resolve or get to a resolution versus an argument. And that's why it's the most powerful communication style. Okay, so the session is over. If you two are having challenges within your relationship and having difficulties with communicating, I can help you with that. Shoot me a message. Also, if you have any relatability and you want to comment about the things that you heard me say, feel free to do so, and I'll get back with you. Let's start a community, because when you ask questions or when somebody makes a statement in the comments, it allows other people to learn. It also allows people to feel like people understand them. They have some relatability. So don't be shy. Engage in the comments. Follow me for more emotional intelligence tips. And I'm on YouTube as well. I'm on TikTok and I'm on Instagram. So we'll see you in the next video. Make it a great day.